Welcome to season 10, Hearties. We are so glad that you're with us for Heart to Hearties, our chats with the uber talented cast and crew of When Calls the Heart, now going into their 10th season and getting ready to film the 11th. And it's much in part to you, Hearties, for all of your support. So thanks for being with us. I am Marg Stark. I'm a Hearties admin from San Diego, California, and I'm joined today by
Jennifer Young from Seattle, Washington.
Lori Pearson from Mobile, Alabama.
And
we're Pascale.
We're kicking it off today with, I think, the perfect person to kick off season 10 hype and buzz and everything, all the excitement that we're feeling, because she's the editor of the Valley Voice. She's the bestie to Lee and to Elizabeth. And this is not my joke. This is another Hearties joke, so I'm going to totally take it from them. She is having the longest pregnancy in human history, thanks to a prolonged hiatus between season 10 and season 11. It's Pascale Hutton who brings us Rosemary.
Yay! Thank you.
Seriously, whoever came up with that, I just laughed for about 3 days afterwards, because the thought of Rosemary being pregnant for a really extended period of time,
it's
hysterical.
Well, I think the idea was that originally it was supposed to air at the time that we normally would air, which is in like February. And so normally there's, I want to say, like between the end of one season and the beginning of the other, there's about a 4 or 5 month gap. Like in the world of When Calls the Heart, there's a 4 or 5 month gap in like Hope Valley. Yes. And so that would have made sense. It's just
that would have been perfect.
Kind of insane right now because it's airing in the summer.
Well, we know it's going to be an extra special one that we get to observe, and that you're going to labor and deliver very, very well after all of that. My goodness. So one of the really cool things that is happening this season is that you're celebrating the 100th episode. And we got a little, I don't even remember, in social media, there were pictures of a party that went on, and it looked like you made, I don't know, was it heartfelt, teary kind of remarks? Could you give us a little idea of what the fun was about and what you might have said?
Yeah, I mean, it was first and foremost hugely celebratory. Like, it really feels like a massive accomplishment in the world of television to be here now and celebrating 10. At the time we were going, like, kind of had just started season 10 and we were into our 100th episode. And so that just really felt monumental. Like it was a first for all of us. None of us have had that before. And that is definitely something to pat yourself on the back and have a toast and say, well done to everybody involved, like behind the camera, in front of the camera, the fans who have made that even possible. Like all of it is really huge. And so, but then, that night, who opened it? I think it was Brad Cravoy kind of opened up the night, and we were all sitting down to dinner, and he just kind of talked about the beginning of the show for him, which, as you might remember, it actually for him started like way back with the one-off movie, right? Mm-hmm. And so he kind of started talking about that and how that kind of was the catalyst to then start the actual series. And then he just kind of opened it up for people to, share what their experience was, or their thoughts, or their feelings. And a lot of people got up and spoke. And I mean, I'll only speak for myself. I was really talking about how much this show has brought to my life in a really, truly unexpected way. I knew signing on, I was going to get to play a wonderful character. And I knew it was going to be a really fun story to tell. And I really was excited about traveling back in time. All those things were very apparent right out of the gate. But what I had no idea, not even the slightest inkling, was about how deep the relationships were going to become off camera as well. And how the show brought me some of my best friends in the whole world, and people who really have gone through, I mean, 10 years is a significant amount of time for all of us. And we've gone through births and deaths and moves and upheavals, and lots of things have happened in people's lives. And we've gone through that together. And this show has kind of been this, you know, just workhorse, just holding us together through all of it. And that's kind of what I was reflecting on at that time of is those relationships and all those changes that we've gone through together.
Yeah, it's kind of extraordinary. And I always say that the friendships and the relationships that you all form, it so clearly contributes to the feeling that we see on the screen. Don't you feel?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. I agree with that. You know, I think you can feel it when there's a genuine love between the actors on camera. Like, you can feel that there's something that's intangible, but you can sense it. And especially in characters that are supposed to have gone through so much together and
Yes,
have that longevity together, that we have had that off camera as well. And so it really, like, one folds into the other one, and that translates. I mean, it's like, you know, life imitating art imitating life. I do think there's a bit of that happens.
yeah. And I think what you're saying about the state of TV today, you know, especially in the midst of, we're into 60 some days of a writer strike and waiting to hear what's going to happen with an actor strike here in the States. You know, there's a lot of change afoot, and a lot of concern about how, you know, artists are going to continue to be able to make a living. So it's pretty profound to see a show go into this, you know, into this many years. And then, of course, I think it's a great reminder for the Hearties too, because we love to look back on the grassroots effort that happened, you know, very
100%
organically in season 1. And we're actually just talking about a timeline that we want to create for HFR, for the family reunion, to talk about those little firsts and those amazing ways that Hearties delivered in getting the ratings and making sure that this show was renewed. And it's
absolutely
it's going to be a wonderful celebration. That I think it's episode 2 of the season that we're celebrating the 100th episode. And yeah, I mean, that is a tremendous accomplishment for that cast and crew and that family that's formed.
I had no idea when I first joined in season 1, because when I joined, I mean, as I'm sure everyone remembers, it was in 11 and 12, episodes 11 and 12, and it hadn't aired yet. And so I had no idea what I was joining. And I was only joining at that point. I've told this story so many times. I was only joining for those 2 episodes. That's what I thought was going to happen. And then we went into and still, when we started filming season 2, it still really hadn't gained traction that much. Like, people had watched it, but it hadn't really become like kind of the phenomenon that it is now. And it wasn't until season 3, that very first, while we were filming it, the very first Hearties family reunion, and we had it in that leaky tent out at the set.
Lori was there. I was there.
Yeah. And I looked out and I was like, holy cow, all these people have traveled from all over the place. Mm-hmm. Wow. That was my first sense of, oh, we've struck something, like we've touched a nerve with people, or we've really like kind of landed on something special here, and something that is bigger than I thought it was.
Well, that's certainly true. This show has gotten, it's so much bigger than we could have dreamed that it would be, and wonderfully so. So let's dig in and talk about the amazing season 10. Laura, you want to take it away?
So the season 10 episode descriptions are out there. They've been published, and Hearties have been poring over them as usual before the season.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that they
Some
were
of them
out
are out
there. I have been surprised at how many photos have been out, like released. And I don't think I'm giving anything away, because anyone who's looked online they've pointed out there's like, you see Rosemary in certain maternity dresses, and there's a certain similarity that people have noticed to Elizabeth's dresses. I just can't believe, I'm not going to say anything about that, because that is a spoiler and I don't want to give it away, but I am amazed. Those photos came out, and I want to say it was in less than an hour. Somebody had put together side-by-side photos of like, oh, I noticed that the ruffle trim on Rosemary's cuff is the same as the ruffle trim when Elizabeth was pregnant. I was like, how did this happen so fast? Elizabeth was only wearing those maternity dresses for one like Christmas special, right? Like, we only saw her in that one movie, and people were like on it.
The recall people must have. It's not like there's just a few episodes now. I mean,
I know.
We have some Hearties that are like Sherlock Holmes.
Detail-minded. Seriously. Incredible.
So, well, you said spoiler alert. So spoiler alert, Hearties, cover your ears if you don't want to hear about timing here. But we do kind of know from the episode descriptions that it looks like baby Coulter, the bundle of joy, will be arriving. Maybe Rosemary will be pregnant for about 4 episodes in. So Brenna Paul from Tulsa, Oklahoma wants to know, which was more comfortable for you to wear, the bump or the corset?
This has been a big question. And I have to say, I was so excited going into season 10, because I thought, oh my gosh, at least half a season, no corset. This is going to be amazing. What a nice relief.
Yeah.
Like, what a treat for me. That bump was so uncomfortable. It was so uncomfortable. It's super heavy. It has like, it's kind of a bodysuit. So it goes on your shoulder, goes over your shoulders. It really weighed down. It was this really heavy latex foam, like that it was built. And so it was really heavy. And we were filming it, of course, in the summer. Those episodes were filmed in the summer. It was really, really hot, way hotter than the corset. And it was just, it honestly, and then because, here's a little insider tip. It's the same bump that Elizabeth wore.
What are you trying to say?
Yeah, so we wanted, though, because Rosemary, we see her pregnant over so many episodes, that we did want there to be some differentiation. We wanted to see some growth. So I started out with that bump, and then we were adding extra padding to it to like push it out a little bit further. And it was so hot. It was so uncomfortable. It was so heavy on my shoulders, just weighing.
Did it throw you off balance too?
No, it wasn't heavy like that. It really like pulled me down.
Okay,
like it wasn't pulling me forward. It was like really on my shoulders, like digging in. I was so happy to be done with that thing when I was like, after Rosemary gives birth and I was done with it. I'm like, oh, thank goodness. I was like, give me that corset back. I can't wait to get it.
That's great.
Oh my goodness.
What is that trekking called where you wear those backpacks? Maybe you're ready for that now.
Yeah, except for those backpacks are built for it. They have proper padding and stuff right here. This was literally like 2 bra straps.
Oh no.
Pulling down. So it was really like, it was very uncomfortable. Erin didn't warn me about that.
Oh man.
She could have given me the heads up.
Come on, bestie. That's
need
hilarious.
to put more padding in it. So now we're going through that pregnancy and the birth. Everybody's wondering about the birth of baby Coulter. Barbara Laird from Exeter, Rhode Island, loved the drama of Elizabeth having little baby Jack, in the middle of that snowstorm. She suspects that Rosemary and Lee will also have a very dramatic birth, because really nothing about Rosemary is ordinary, which is what we love about her. So is Barbara on the money with her prediction?
I would say this labor and delivery has it all. It is all the emotions. It is hilarious, for one. It's very funny. It's very intense. It's very dramatic. It's very touching and heartfelt. it was probably my favorite episode I've ever filmed on this show, period. Because
Wow.
it really is an episode where all the characters of the town really come and rally together for Rosemary, really. And in just such a funny way and in such a heartfelt way. It's really emotional. Like, it was very emotional when we were filming it. I just really think people are going to have all the feelings in that episode. And I'm really, really proud of it. We had this really cool moment where, you know, without saying too much, we got to the, like, kind of like the climax, and Cavan's there with me. And we did, I think, a rehearsal, I think we did a rehearsal. And I played the scene as I was going to play it. And he looked at me with this, like, look of kind of surprise and kind of respect, I guess, and went, okay, you're going to go there? I'm going to go right with you then. And he just was, like, so present with me. And he, I think, didn't know if I was going to play it as real. I mean, I've given birth to 2 babies. I know what those moments are like. And he has 2 babies of his own. And I mean, our kids are all big boys now, but he was like, oh, okay, this is a real moment, like that real high stakes. It feels like life and death. It's, you know, it's the most intense moment most women are going to ever go through in their life. And I really wanted to go there. I really wanted to portray that. And he was like, okay, I'm going to do it with you. And it was like this really special moment of the 2 of us really supporting each other in that. It was a really beautiful, I really loved that, all those scenes. There's quite a few scenes.
I know Hearties can't wait, because that scene when you realized that you were, Rosemary realized that she's pregnant and tells Lee. And
wasn't that so good?
That's a roller coaster of emotions too. So I can't imagine what that episode's going to be like.
I just loved how that reveal went. I loved how it's her realizing it and then sharing it with him. And he's just elated, just that pure joy. And I just thought it was, like, really, really good.
Yes. I can't wait for the birth.
Well, it's really cool. I mean, you've talked to us so much about your relationship with Cavan and, you know, the scene partners and all of the stuff that you've gone through. And it's just cool to hear you take it to another level.
Yeah, it's really neat that we can still, after all this time, kind of surprise one another. It's, like, wonderful.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Well, we've got more questions coming. Alyson Ellis from Franklin, Indiana, and Deb McNaughton asked similar questions. We're used to seeing Rosemary be the center of attention, kind of the one who brings all the energy to the room. And those of us that are moms know that babies tend to kind of suck all the attention to themselves. And so are you going to play Rosemary a little bit smaller, or are you just going to be as big as ever?
I feel like what has always been the beautiful thing about Rosemary is that she has this larger than life persona, but she also has this smaller, more intimate vulnerability. And especially when she feels like her friends or Lee really need her to be their support, she doesn't shy away from that, or she doesn't try and turn that into being about her. And that's only become progressively more the longer she stayed in Hope Valley, right? I think that's really been her journey, as being in Hope Valley has really grounded her and given her a purpose that's bigger than just her. So I think with becoming a mom, she's always going to be dramatic. She's always going to be theatrical, because that's who she is. But there's these tender moments. And I think, because I'll say for myself, the Rosemary's journey into motherhood is very surprising. And even though it's something that she has obviously wanted for years and years and years, I think there's certain elements and certain feelings and emotions surrounding motherhood that she didn't realize were going to sneak up for her. And I was really surprised when at the beginning of this, well, it was actually maybe a few months out, Lindsay, who is our showrunner, she phoned me and she said, I really want to talk to you about these ideas of what Rosemary becoming a mom is going to be like and what that journey is. And it really took me aback. It was so not what I was expecting at all, like not at all. And it's really beautiful. It's really a beautiful storyline. And I think a lot of people, I think it really resonated with me, and I think it'll resonate with a lot of people. It's a story, actually, in fact, I don't know if I've ever seen it on TV before. And so, and it's not, I don't think it's it's not comedic, and it's not like larger than life and hilarious. It's a very real, emotional storyline. And I think people will be surprised in a really wonderful way.
I love it. I'm looking forward to that.
Sorry, just to interrupt quickly. This show has been blessed with so many different showrunners over the years. When you have a show that goes on for 10 seasons, you have these amazing, gifted people that come in at the right time and bring you what you need and what the spirit moves for it to be. And, I was surprised last year at the John, I think, and the team did such a beautiful job of giving Rosemary levels in that infertility to
totally
see. So it's great to hear that Lindsay's also going to give Rosemary so many levels, even with this, and Rosemary's a little bit older, and it's going to be a big adjustment. So absolutely.
And it's all in there, and it really is all in there. And I think for this particular story, Lindsay has a very unique perspective that I think worked really well.
Yeah, and it gives you so much to dig into as an actor.
Absolutely. And that's the exciting stuff, right? Like and I love that. I love reading a script and being surprised. Like after playing a character for 10 years, to be surprised by the character still is so exciting. That's such an exciting thing to experience, for me at least.
Well, that's going to make it amazing for us too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sounds exciting.
And kind of going off of what you said, Marg, the next question comes from Debra Martin from Tennessee. And she said it must be so rewarding to see this storyline finally come to fruition. And it's been said that you and Kevin had kind of a lot of input about it. And now that we know the outcome, can you kind of tell us what you guys lobbied for? Was it going for like ending in a pregnancy like this, or an adoption story, or how did it come to pass? And are you guys happy with how it came?
So happy. I think there's the part where you lobby for a storyline, and then you kind of have to be willing to, you do have to be willing to hand over that like nugget of an idea to the writers and allow them to run with it as they envision it. And that's that's what the beautiful collaboration is. And so there were certain things we lobbied for. I really felt strongly that after the storyline of infertility for so long, I feel like our show at the heart of it is about hope and people's fulfilling one's heart and wishes. And I just felt like it was an injustice to not end with a child for these two. And I was willing and open to what the writers thought that would look like, but from a logical perspective, I felt like we told the story of adoption already a few times. Kevin McGarry, he adopts Allie, and then Abigail adopts Cody and Becky. And I felt like we told that story, whereas we'd only really told the story of a pregnancy once, and that was with Elizabeth. And obviously that was a very complicated pregnancy, having just lost Jack. And so it wasn't a purely joyous moment in her life because there was so much loss and longing coupled with it. And we really didn't tell the story of the pregnancy because she was pregnant for such a brief moment. And I was like, I think it would be funny and very satisfying and a mine worth diving into to do a pregnancy, like really do the pregnancy, do it up. Like, let's tell that story. What is a pregnancy like with all the craziness that goes along with being pregnant? Like, let's dive into that. And so they were super receptive to that. You know, after 10 seasons, I think your writers and actors and everybody who's putting together the story, they're really looking for what are new channels that we haven't explored on this show, and more specifically for this character or this character or this character. And we hadn't seen this. We hadn't seen this really for any character, and we certainly hadn't seen it for Rosemary and Lee. And so everybody really got behind the idea. And and then they went along with it with this pregnancy. There were lots of conversations about it. You know, the obvious conversation is, okay, the pregnancy sounds amazing and fun, but then you have a baby. And babies are challenging to have on set. And Kevin and I really advocated for the idea that the story isn't, although obviously there's a birth and there's a baby, and the baby is now a pivotal role in their lives. The storyline isn't the baby. The storyline is how the baby changes Lee and Rosemary after having been such a strong, connected, ambitious couple for so many years. Their transformation and transition into parenthood, that's the story, not necessarily baby specific, but the two of them as parents specific. And so it didn't necessarily hinge on having scenes with the baby always right in hand all the time. It's a bit of a puzzle of like, okay, when do we see the baby? And because obviously you can only have babies on set for very short periods of time, and it needs to be strategic. And obviously they're completely unpredictable, which is what is magical about them, but it's unpredictable. And so that's how we kind of approached it. And we convinced everybody that was the way to tell a storyline, which of course everybody was game for that because it makes it like logistically shooting schedule much more manageable. But I will say the baby we had for our baby is amazing. Like the sweetest, calmest, most beautiful, lovely baby in the world. Much better than I think mine and Kevin's own baby. So when they were like, I will be the first to say my kids were like unpredictable. They would have not done well as like on set, but this baby was just, oh my God, just a dream. Like so calm, so gentle, just beautiful, lovely, lovely baby. So we lucked out big time.
Amazing. Well, that's the perfect segue because, of course, you know, we witnessed so much activity with the Valley Voice last year, and we want to know, you know, how Rosemary and Lee are going to continue to juggle that work. We know that the Valley Voice is going to play such an important. We imagine that it's going to play an important role because the teasers have told us that there's a bit of an economic downturn in Hope Valley, and now potentially a lot of tourists coming to town for the hot springs. So tell us a little bit about your juggling act and how.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. It's a juggling act. And I think any mom who is a mom and loves her job and needs to or wants to go back to work quickly is in that juggling position, right? Of trying to juggle it all. Like everything is important and everything is her passion, and she doesn't really want to sacrifice any of it. Neither does Lee. And so it is a juggling act. The two of them, you know, we've got the baby in the Valley Voice. We're doing work at home and we're like, we've got the baby and we're on the phone. Like it's a real juggling act. But I think where there's a will, there's a way for anyone, right? You make it work if you care enough to make it work. And I think that's what you see with Lee and Rosemary.
Very cool. And so the radio we know is coming to Hope Valley this season. So there's like a whole influx of communication between the newspaper and the radio. Is the radio going to be a competition? Is it going to be compliment? Like, how is this all going to play out with the Valley Voice?
It's so far not competition, more like fodder for the Valley Voice, because now there's a whole like political kind of element to the show this season, and information is just able to be transmitted so much more quickly. And so there's a lot more that Rosemary and Lee can write about quickly.
Wow. Okay.
And so so it's actually been this season, it's a very useful tool for them.
Very cool. Okay. I think that's going to be exciting to watch play out.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've always had a sense of them being kind of insulated and
yes.
Right,
and I think it's
distant.
also because information is passing so much more quickly, then there's also more competition, which you can imagine how Rosemary reacts to competition with other news outlets. She's not keen on being having her stories scooped from under her. So
No,
she's a bit competitive.
Well. Really? Oh my God.
Oh, we didn't know. Oh my goodness, yes, we love Rosemary and her competitiveness. So with 10 seasons under your belt as Rosemary and filming about to start with season 11, Brenda Lavender Turner from Hewitt, Texas wonders, which is more rewarding for you, going so deep into a character with 10 seasons of history, or inventing new characters as you do in movies?
I mean, I don't know if I could pick one or the other. I love obviously creating new characters, and I think that that's a great challenge. And especially after playing a certain character for such a long period of time, like Rosemary, been with her for so long, then I have to kind of give my head a shake to get out of that mindset to build another character. And so that's a great challenge. Like mentally, it's a good challenge that I enjoy, but playing Rosemary for so many years is so unique. So few actors get to do that. And I said that to myself back when we were at, I want to say season 3 or 4, when I started feeling like this show has some legs. I thought I would just love for this show to last 7 seasons. In my mind, 7 was like almost unimaginable. Like that, even that is very difficult. And I thought if I could just have this show last for 7 seasons and play this character for 7 seasons, I would just love that so much, to see what happens to my character over that length of time. I just was so curious what it would be like. And then to go so much further past 7 is just unbelievable. I mean, it really is a pinch me kind of situation of going, how did I get so lucky? And how is this so fulfilling still? I go to work and I'm so excited to go. And I really still feel challenged and inspired and passionate about this character and the stories that I get to tell and what I get to do. And I mean, it's just such a unique gift to have been given to play this character that I love so much for so long.
That is great to, after so many years, to feel still so enthusiastic about your work. Any kind of work is a great thing.
It's a great thing. It's a great thing. And I absolutely don't take that for granted, because I know a lot of people don't feel the same way.
Yeah. To enjoy your job is a massive gift.
Yeah.
And have job security. As a mom of an actor, I can say, to have job security for that is very good thing. Very good thing.
So Rosemary's always the trendsetter in Hope Valley, and she's designed a bathing suit for Lee. And it looks like bathing suits are kind of going to be the rage in Hope Valley with the hot springs debut in season 10. So are we finally going to see Lee in that bathing suit you designed?
I think Kevin wrote into his contract, must never be seen in that horrendous bathing suit Rosemary designed. No, you don't ever see Lee in the bathing suit, but I will say you do see, well, this isn't giving, you see it in the trailer. You see Jack Wagner, Bill Avery in the bathing suit, and he stands up, oh, ducks back down. It's so funny. Yeah, it's really good. No, he's the only one who really struts his stuff.
I think after last season with the hair and the makeup for Cleopatra and, you know, and the whole, after the Halloween costumes, maybe Kevin was like, I think I'll skip the bathing suit.
He was like, this hair and makeup is like way too time.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
All the curls in his hair.
Oh my goodness.
Hilarious. I love it. So these brocade curtains are just so perfect, so stage-like for my next question. And that is, you know, this story is told through Elizabeth's perspective as a writer. And we often start the show with these beautiful journal moments, kind of setting the theme for the episode. And I just wondered if you would like an opportunity, if we offered you that device, whether it was, you know, a monologue on a stage or whether it was a newspaper article that you wrote, like, would you like to set the stage for season 10 with a little device of your own?
Oh, okay. Well, I feel like the newspaper article is the appropriate one for Rosemary.
Okay.
It might be something like, extra, extra, read all about it. In a shocking turn of events, no character in Hope Valley ends up where you would expect them to. We have twists, we have turns, we have ups, we have downs, we have love, and ... a little bit of danger.
Wow.
Ooh.
Okay, newspapers flying off the shelves.
I'm gonna have to rewind that one and analyze it all.
Yes, you know that's
I'm a Hardy.
what's happening. You know that's going to be picked apart as well it should be. That's fantastic. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys so much. I love having our interviews, and I love talking to you because you all love the show so much. And I can feel that. I can feel that love and that joy for the show that we created. And it just is always like a wonderful trip down memory lane, like thinking about like past episodes, either like recently past or like way in season 2 or 3 or 4 or something like that.
Yes. So we are so grateful that you came to kick off season 10 with us, Pascale. And we're hoping that the strikes resolve well and that filming goes smoothly for y'all. Everything goes great for y'all. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
The show debuts on Sunday, July 30th at 9, 8 Central on Hallmark Channel. We will see you again soon on Heart to Hearties. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.